It's very difficult to predict. It's like playing billiards with about 20 trillion balls. One white ball, 20 trillion red balls. Yeah? You just don't know where it's going to go. You can have an idea, but you don't know where it's going. So that is a limitation, I feel. It's just a suck it and see principle. Now, we've said that drugs are very efficacious. We've talked about aspirin for headaches, permethrins for fleas. We've talked about vincristine for cancer, the cancer drug. And we've talked about me getting morphine if I get hit by a bus. Did you know aspirin is actually derived from filipendula when it was first started? This used to be called Aspira, which is why aspirin got its name, from Aspira filipendula. Good stuff. Permethrins, they're derived from chrysanthemums. The vincristine, vinblastine are derived from the Madagascar periwinkle. And morphine and opiates, opiate derivatives, they were originally derived from good old poppy. Okay? Herbs are with us today. They've been with us in our past, they're with us today, and I think they are going to be with us in the future. Second half of the talk, I'm just going to talk about 5 issues that we all have with anthelmintics. Okay? There have been many, many talks. There's even one after this session today about resistance and about the problems that we get with some anthelmintics. No, all anthelmintics, some problems. I'd like to talk about resistance. I'd like to talk about side effects, suspicion of drugs within the population, the limitations of drugs, and the sustainability of using drugs as anthelmintics. First of all, let's talk about resistance. It is a major problem. It's been talked about most of yesterday, and it's talked about extensively today. We're worried. The pharmaceutical companies are very worried. I think that herbs can play a big part to take the load off pharmaceuticals, to allow us to have more time to actually work out what we're going to do. Herbs have been, pharmaceuticals have been around only for about 80 years, and we're running into all these problems. Back in 2008, Helen Barnes from Fort Dodge told us about benzimidazole, pyrantel, and ivermectin problems. Yeah? Resistance within these, within the horse. These are measured, these are studied, and we're worried. Fiona Anderson, Novartis, came along in 2009 and told us that anthelmintic resistance is an issue now and will become a greater problem in the future unless we act. Yeah? She said the resistant worms are out there. She's absolutely right. It's a real and present danger, the resistance problem. I think herbs can help. Even the guys at Ekvalan, they're saying rather than just using the old way of worming, which was year 1 you use one product, year 2 you use another, and year 3 you use the third product. They're saying actually monitor and treat as appropriate. And this is wholly the way to go forward. I think we should monitor, bring herbal preparations into our regimes to take the strain off the pharmaceuticals, which are rapidly generating resistance. These things can work together, and I think that the future of this is very, very exciting. Like I say, this guy was using herbs, and we have been using herbs for the last 15,000 years at least, and we have no significant or measurable sign of resistance whatsoever. Second problem that we all recognize, the side effects of drugs. If your colleague gets hold of an ivermectin, an Ivermec, for example, it can be fatal. If you take antibiotics, you can get thrush. Your gut can get upset. These are the side effects that we really don't want. If you take steroids for your allergies, something like that, you can get thin skin, you can get liver disease, and you can become immunosuppressed. These are not so good. Herbs, on the other hand, a well-balanced quality preparation. High side effects are very, very rare. It means that you can get the kids to go out and dose the chickens. Okay? It's fantastic. Very, very safe. and there's no risk of cross-species ingestion. Yeah, if you give your horse a dose of Ivermectin and that spills on the floor, the collie comes along, gets a mouthful of that, you're in trouble. With this, you can not worry too much about the dog getting into the horse product or the sheep getting into the dog product, okay? A lot more safe. Safe and effective. Don't think that just because it's safe means it's not effective. These things are very useful. There are 6,000 studies which have looked at these and many other aspects of herbal medicine. Suspicion. This is not so much a pharmaceutical issue as an economic issue. Did you know that the patient compliance of people in the UK when they go to their doctor, i.e. doing what their doctor told them or are taking their prescription, patient compliance is only about 40%. I think the figure is 42%, which means 60% of people don't do what their doctor tells them. What's the percentage of people who do what you say? When you SQPs tell people to do things, do they do them? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. It's pretty hairy. It's a hairy side of things. In Europe, 70% of cats and dogs are not wormed at all. 45% of horses are not wormed at all. Now, from a welfare point of view, I think this is horrendous. From a business point of view, this is A, horrendous, and B, means that these people are not coming into your shops. So you are missing out on an opportunity to educate them, pros and cons of drugs, pros and cons of herbs. You're missing that opportunity. And that's a major issue that we really have to work on. Herbs can help that issue because people innately trust herbs, just like they trust free range over battery. There's just this, it feels better. If it's organic, oh, that's great, you know, let's go for it. Herbs have got that aspect. More trust, less fear. Less fear, especially when people are dealing with young stock, if they're dealing with older animals, or if they're dealing with pregnant animals. This is where people really start to think, are we on the right track here using our pharmaceuticals? What's best for the horse? The Veteran Horse Society have extensive use, for example, of older animals. They have extensive use of an internal parasite control product. I know that for a fact. There are limitations. Drugs do what it says on the tin. The problem is, that's all they do in most cases, okay? They only target worms and sometimes larvae, depending on the product. Herbs do a lot more. I'm going to take a big, deep breath and go through some of the aspects that we know of herbs which we can use in an anthelmintic situation. Okay, so vermicidal, vermifugal, antispasmodic, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, immune boosting, circulatory stimulating, and tissue healing. This is what herbs can do. That's why I love them. Sustainability. Our last aspect of the problems that we have with anthelmintics is sustainability. They're not very green. A lot of drugs derive from petroleum products and they're very energy hungry. A lot of transportation because inevitably they're made as cheaply as possible and then transported. All drugs come with fancy packaging. I can't understand why, but all drugs, more or less, come with fancy packaging, especially if they're going to a shop, into a retail environment. And drugs are impacting on the planet. Out in the middle of the Atlantic, cod, the cod are changing sex because of the estrogens within the water. because of the contraceptive pill being flushed down the loo, or urine containing those estrogens flushed down the loo. They are finding those estrogens also in polar bears in the North Pole. Okay? We are having a massive impact. I was just speaking to my colleague last night at dinner, saying we're probably not going to really see the real tough end of these changes in our generation, but our children will, and their children's children will as well. We have to start the fight now. Drugs are necessary, but they're eco-unfriendly, and we have to be aware of that. We have to rationalise our use of these products. Herbs, not only are they sustainable, but actually, if you think about it, as they're growing, they're going to be fixing carbon. So they're carbon neutral, if not the opposite of using carbon, whatever that is. They are actually helping us to battle with the carbon issue. Herbs are very eco-friendly, obviously. Okay? So, just to summarise, we've got some problems with anthelmintics. We've got resistance issues. Herbs, we've got no resistance issues. Let's think about bringing them in. Anthelmintics, we've got side effects. Effective herbal products are perceived to be and are more gentle. You can get the kids to do the chickens. There is an innate suspicion of people who are suspicious of drugs. They are less suspicious, and it can be something that we can offer to bring them in so that we can educate them fully. Drugs have limitations. They are designed to do something, they do it. But that's all they do. Herbs offer a much broader scope. And you can look at yourself in the morning every day when you're using herbs on their own, or when you're using herbs in conjunction to boost the efficacy of and the longevity of these pharmaceuticals. Herbs are green. It is our obligation as professionals, as SQPs, as animal professionals, to educate ourselves and educate our clients in responsible, rational use of herbs and pharmaceuticals. We are obliged to inform ourselves and our clients. We need to give them the choice of which products to use. Give them the choice of the herbs, give them the choice of the pharmaceuticals, so that they can make the best decision. That's my talk. Thank you. I'd just like to thank the session sponsors.